Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Making of. I'm your host, Mike Valinsky, and today I'm excited to welcome Stefan Sonnenfeld. Stefan is the founder of Company 3 and a pioneer in the art of color grading and image for motion picture. He has worked on projects including Man on Fire, War of the Worlds, 300, Into the Wild, The Bourne Legacy, The Purge, Man of Steel, Nightcrawler, Jurassic World, A Quiet Place, Avengers Endgame, The White Lotus, F1 the movie, Superman, Frankenstein, and Michael, to name a few. A three-time HPA award winner and a true industry legend, I thought we could invite him on to talk about his background, the evolution of color in motion pictures, his work on Michael, and more. However, before we dive in, we'd like to thank our friends at AJA Video Systems, Broadfield Distributing, OWC, and Zeiss. Now on to the main show. Stefan, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
We really appreciate you coming on today. This is an honor. And before we jump into the making of Michael and all the amazing color work on that, I wanted to do a little bit of a rewind here. And can you share a little bit? Where are you from?
I was born in Los Angeles. I grew up here for the first 12 years of my life. And then I went to boarding school in Greece, a suburb of Athens. Kifisiam Psychiko, I'd been going to Greece my whole life because my mom was born in Greece. So ended up there from 12, I was 12 years old to 16 years old, and then ended up coming back to LA, finished high school in LA, and then went to college after that in Boston.
Terrific. Now, as a kid growing up, have to ask, were you obsessed about movies, film, and TV? Were you starting to play with video cameras or earlier technologies? Where did this whole thing begin?
Yeah, so it's kind of strange actually, because although movies were of extreme interest to me and I loved them like everybody else, I mean, it's much more of a spectacle back in the day, in my age. Um, it was a sort of I almost fell into this career, to be honest. So my mom was an actress, and so I was always around the business, but she really didn't have anything to do with my trajectory into the business, other than making sure that as a college kid coming home for summer that I worked if I wanted to have a place to live at home. And so she, but I always, for some reason, always had a pretty good work ethic. So I did want to work anyway. And I ended up working at a post-production studio just by chance as a driver. So that's sort of where this whole thing began ultimately. But no, I loved the entertainment world. I love movies like everybody else. So that's pretty much all I had. I had no real understanding of my artistic, sort of my creative abilities, which I obviously have now. I was more focused on business, to be honest. I was thinking I'd go into some form of business. Was in the School of Management at BU, and ultimately that's where I thought I would end up. So, but I do run a business, obviously, and I have for a long time. But I also am an artist as well. So
Yeah, you got both. It all
yeah,
worked.
you know,
So very interesting. So you're driving a car, you're a driver for a post-production facility. And then where do you go from there? Like, how did you?
oh, so it's kind of an infamous story. I was the first day on the job, a company called AME, Andy McIntyre Enterprises in Hollywood on Highland and Santa Monica. Got into my car and I was told to pick up dailies for what turned out to be Miami Vice, the TV show for Michael Mann. And I say it, the irony of that is I've done every Michael Mann movie, he's everything he's ever done and continue to work with him, and he's a dear friend. So I headed out to Universal Studios on Lancashire and picked up the dailies, what I thought was the most important cargo like on the planet, and it was actually just work dailies that were going to AME to be transferred for the editor. Um, I jumped in the car, got my stuff, got the buckets of film and sound, put it into the truck, headed back to Hollywood, and I got just destroyed in a car accident. Not my fault. Somebody just plowed into me, totaled the car. Luckily, I wasn't hurt, and just by the sheer luck, a friend of mine was driving by. So I had sort of the wherewithal to say, hey, look, dude, I got to take this precious cargo to here, otherwise I'm screwed. My job's probably going to end. I use different words, and he took the film, he took it to AME on Santa Monica and Highland, got the job there, got the film there. The job happened on time, and my manager at the time, this guy Rudy, was very impressed with me thinking on my feet and whatever that meant for the job. And so he immediately said, I'm going to take you out of this position and put you in the what was the sort of dub room at the time. There's 2 inch and 1 inch tape, and you had to cut it down for commercials and stuff. But it was like that whole tech environment, these big machines with all these lights flashing, and in that process and in that room, they also did standards conversions where you had to do minimal color correction when you were doing like NTSC to PAL or PAL to NTSC, stuff like that. And so that's where this whole sort of excitement for the behind the scenes, behind the camera, the post-production started for me. And I sort of worked every position you could at that company over the course of the next couple of years. I ended up dropping out of college and going into that world full time. Long story, to get into. And I ended up loving the business and worked my way up, from driver to all the different stages, which was imperative and completely necessary because I learned everything about the business, workflows, and ended up being a assistant colorist for somebody who was very popular at the Post Group, and that's where it all started. So that's where I really honed in on coloring as his assistant, and then ultimately made my way into my own sort of little business as a colorist.
Well, that little business has done pretty well.
Well, before I started the company, my little business meaning just my coloring, and then I moved over to POP, Pacific Ocean Post. And honestly, I just had a town hall yesterday and another one today. I really disliked how I was treated in the business. I sort of felt like commoditized and like, hey, you just do your thing and go to work and let us handle the rest. And I go in for advice or suggestions or raises or whatever, and I was always denied everything. And at some point, I just got super frustrated and was like, and got super popular at the same time. And I was just like, you know what? I just have to work for myself or figure something out myself. And that's where the idea came from. And so I enlisted some support from some other workers and friends of mine as employees of the company. Um, uh, and that's how it started. And we all, a bunch of like four main people: Dave Hussey, Mike Pathwell, Missy Papa George, who later became my wife, and Noel. That was sort of the nucleus of the first group of people that came in, along with support people, and yeah, it was amazing. It was that was 29 years ago in August this year. August 97 is when we started. So incredible. Next year is our 30th anniversary. Never would have imagined.
Well, congrats on 29, and I assume there's going to be a nice big party next year at some
I
point.
hope so. That's exactly what we're all talking about. We'll see.
Yeah. Your trajectory of this company has also been in sync with, for the most part, this industry going from film to digital. Not every picture is done, digitally, but you might know the numbers. I don't know if it's 95% to 5%.
Most of them are, yeah. I
Right.
mean, yeah.
So your history of this company has kind of been in sync with changes in the industry, just to mention analog and digital. We're not even getting into some of the other changes that with streaming and the model and everything else that's happening real time. What was that like in the early days of color? Because if you can shed light on that.
Well, I think Company 3 has always been at the forefront of technology and creative flexibility. How do we provide the utmost in creative freedom, flexibility for our clients and ourselves with the latest, greatest technology and robust infrastructures and secure infrastructures? We pioneered all sorts of different things. Like we were the first to do virtual sessions. I basically rented a transponder Ascent Media's networking business and put up satellites in two places, and we were able to do virtual sessions over the satellite. That's initially how we did that. We were pioneers in the NTSC to HD transition. We're pioneers, and created the whole sort of nonlinear workflow for this, which seems incomprehensibly sort of simple, but it was extremely difficult and really hard to transition. So was the NTSC to HD, by the way. Everybody was sort of reticent to accept it. And then obviously the 2K, the 4K, the HDR, you just go on and on and on. So we've always been there trying to push the envelope, trying to and then also the film, the rise of and the creation of the digital environment. I did one of the first all digital films, Collateral, with Michael Mann, ironically, of course, again, which was amazing and really awesome experience. And so, yeah, we embraced. That was a major transition too, because film was such a big part of our business, and then all of a sudden it went away, literally overnight. Within a couple of years, it was gone. Big, huge companies like Deluxe and Technicolor had to shutter big chunks of their business, hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue disappeared. So yeah, it's always been a stretch, and I think we find ourselves in that point right now where there's this inflection point with AI and machine learning, and what does that mean for us? But again, it's all sort of, to me, very exciting and interesting and opportunistic. And we've been immersed in the AI world for the last 3 years, trying to figure out how it's going to help, how it's going to affect our business, how we can utilize it to help our clients. So there's that, but the coloring of film and digital and the the proprietary LUTs and color science that we have and all the great artists that we have, it's something that's sort of magical in a way, because we have an amazing group of people, an amazing group of artists, an amazing group of people who manage the workflows, and from client service, which is second to none in our place, and the studios are beautifully appointed and inspiring to the people themselves, and the specific location for tax incentives, and there's so much that goes into it. But anyway, I find it compelling and interesting still, very excited and super excited about what we have coming up. And really proud of everybody here. We work hard every single day. When you're the best at something, everybody sort of comes after you. There are lots of silly things have been said about me and us and company, and you just have to disregard that, just like any sports team, and you just have to focus on what you do and how you do it, and bring the success to yourselves, and by working hard and giving people what they want, and that's what we do. So yeah, I'm very film digital transition was tricky but exciting, and it's even more exciting because there are just many more ways to present work to the viewing public, and digital sort of capture, sort of like just a different film stock, and there's so many different types, and you have to look at it, that what's best for the job, what's best to inner cut with, and what's best to utilize. I mean, there are shows now like Euphoria that Tom Poole, our chief creative officer, is doing, that is like a pure film sort of TV show now. That's amazing and looks very different, and using a unique stock to do it. And then there are other shows that that we do, that Jack Ryan and Dune Prophecy, and some of the shows that I do, and we just our whole we just do whatever we need to do. I think we can now create with our color science, with our artistry, with the tool sets that we have, and with the unique sort of plugins that are available to everybody for the most part. But our people really know, our group of artists and engineers and color scientists, I think we have something special, and we can really emulate all sorts of things. So it's really just a matter of imagination. What can you bring to the table with your artistry, and we can mathematically help create that,
Mhm.
and also organically help create that. So it's an interesting process that I still love. So hopefully that explains. a sort of a broad answer to a specific question.
No, that was fantastic. It's great listening to you talk about all that and also being a leader in the industry and a little bit of that entrepreneurial business climate and some of the, the competitive nature of not just this business, any business, but
Yeah.
we could probably do a part two on some elements, maybe another time. And I just have to say, I mean, I'm in my late 40s. I've been watching your movies that you've helped to set the look and do all sorts of your magic for decades now. So as someone who loves movies, passionately, and TV, the reason why I started this podcast, thank you for all your work and your team as well, and what's coming up.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we people like Jill and Nakamura and Tom and Tim and I mean Dave and there's just so many amazing people here. I can just go on and on and on naming everybody we have that are so um, Jean Clement and London and Gareth and Greg and I mean all over human who's new to New York, but there's just so many great people at our company doing such a wide, you know, breadth, depth of work with so many different people. Sounds like a lot, like we do a lot of work, but it's not, we're not a huge group of people, even though we have a fairly large company now, but it's not really sort of feels very boutique-y still because again, there's multiple locations and there's a few people in every location. In aggregate, yes, there are a bunch of people, but it's really kind of a select group of people who are really working hard and really, pushing the creative and all this stuff. It's pretty amazing. I always think about it. I mean, from F1 to Wicked to like we said, like to the Avenger movies, to the all the Marvel movies, really, the people that we've had, and DC movies, and I mean, tons of amazing independent films and amazing commercials and music videos and documentaries, and I mean, we just have our hands on so much amazing stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited always. I'm super proud to see the stuff, and when I go to our socials. I'm always amazed every day at the caliber of work that we do. Again, big or small, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the artistry, It's like um, some of the greatest stuff is done sometimes in 30 seconds. So it's pretty cool. And I love it. And I'm as you said, I've always been super excited and motivated by this. Um, I love the fact that we get to build a company. I love the fact that our friends and families get to work at the company and have over the course of 29 years. Hopefully we'll still continue. Um, love to providing internships and we have great relationships with schools all over the world. In LA with AFI Art Centers, the USC School of Cinematic Arts, and NYU, all these, University of Texas, all sorts of amazing programs that are, you know, um, just producing amazing people who really want to get into the business. And interestingly enough, the at intersection of technology and artistry and AI now is still creating a lot of excitement for people who are coming out of school, or not necessarily coming out of school, but younger people in general who want to be in the business, but still have skill sets that they think might not be as relevant in our business, but that they actually are very relevant, and especially today, because of the tool sets and the way the industry is going. So we find that there are lots of a great sort of caliber of artists and um, just people in general who want to work at a company like ours. And it's great that we're able to offer this position. So, and we're all around the world. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So thank you. And again, I share your excitement for sure.
Oh, thank you. So I got to ask a big question of the day. One of the biggest
Yeah,
films in the last few weeks, and it's probably going to keep trucking.
cool.
Michael,
Yeah.
let's talk about this film, your work on it. This project came to your firm, to your company. How do you approach this epic historical story about one of the
Um,
musicians and setting the look and take us behind the scenes?
yeah. So Michael, so first of all, Antoine Fuqua is my dear friend. I've known Antoine forever, my whole career. Worked with him my whole life, and he's truly, like I said, a dear friend, an inspiration, a wonderful person, and shares an office in my building right over there. We co-locate. He likes the West Side, and we love being around each other and feed off each other. So he has a lot of projects going on, so we're embedded in all of those things. Antoine is sort of, I always characterize Antoine as sort of the closest thing to a sort of younger Tony Scott. Um, he's incredibly visual and just operates the camera, and his tone and direction is just so captivating and energetic and emotional and inspiring, and he always pushes you also too. What's good about Antoine too is he empowers people around him to do their thing. He's not a micromanager. He hires really great people, and then they all collaborate well together, and then proffer their specialty. And obviously, he has to like it and direct it, but at the same time, he lets you kind of do your thing. So he and Dion have collaborated on this particular project. I've done a ton of work for Dion as well, lots of different movies and commercials and stuff. Um, and we started early on. First of all, I love Michael's music. I mean, it's like my favorite pretty much of all time. I've done a bunch of his videos. I've met Michael before. Um, so it was really interesting for me to experience this, having met him multiple times because of the videos that I've worked on. Um, and so inspired in that sense. I never got to see Michael in concert, so for me, this was like that. One of the few movies I can say I worked on where I always had the music on and the audio on because I don't normally play it over and over and over and over and again. But in this particular instance, it's inspiring to color and listen to music at the same time because there are all sorts of things for me that I can impart into the color that bring, as I always say, it's just this latent ability. Color is a latent sort of tool that gives the ability to evoke certain emotions and things from just the color and contrast, which people don't necessarily realize until it's done incorrectly or done poorly. Um, and then you notice it. And if it's done well, you notice it as well. Sometimes you don't understand it, but if once you know about us and what we do, you sort of start understanding and realize the importance of it and the effect of it. So from that, from early on, Antoine and Dion and Graham, wonderful creative producer, was they were looking for specific things. Obviously, there's a time period, it's a period piece, and we go from a certain period of time through can't remember the actual year or date, but um, the Victory Tour, and it was quite just always has been just a productive collaborative process where we initially Dion was thinking about going back to film to try to get film because they shot on digital, but I personally feel, and a lot of us do here, that we can emulate film. That going back to film thing, I can match exactly. And as a matter of fact, we have much more control and variability without having to go to film. So yes, going shooting on film is amazing, and I'm a big film guy and love it. Quiet Place 3, the last Quiet Place that's being shot right now is being shot on film. Um, we love it, but we can also emulate all sorts of different things. So we tried without going testing. We tested the film process. I showed the guys that I could get there with contrast, color, grain, you know, film curves, everything, the basic mapping of the color profile of all kinds of different things, film stocks. And we came up with some really cool looks that we felt were indicative of the time period. And again, I've worked through a lot of those time periods as well and done some of the videos and of his and of, the music in general. I used to be a massive music video guy. I still do videos, but I used to do like, one every single day of my life. In the height of, pop, rock and roll, R&B, rap, everything. Um, so anyway, I we looked at a bunch of different tests, decided what we were going to do. Uh, and then when they started shooting things, we came up with a bunch of different looks as well, specific to the different scenes. And then once they got into the shooting and the finishing of, getting their cuts in order and getting it into the DI, we started the collaborative process of working together and sat in rooms together with everybody. Trailers always help because sometimes you see the trailers before you even get to the film. So it's a compilation of a bunch of the movie in a short, 3.5 minutes, and you get to see chunks of things juxtaposed against each other, and that was an experimentation as well, which led us to a bunch of different looks and things. And then we sort of followed that guide once we got the first trailer, a couple teasers out, and then first trailer started working on the film, and it fell into place nicely. And it was just I think it's beautiful. I think I love what we did. I've had tons of comments about it. Uh, Dion and Antoine did an amazing job, and interestingly, and I'm sure they've talked about it, but a lot of the lighting setups, especially in the concert stuff, are legitimate Michael. I mean, it's a replication of what he did. Back then, he was a visionary and he always had the best and brightest and most creative people working as, lighting director, stage, all that stuff. And Dion and Antoine and Graham recreated that with the same people in most cases and with the same sort of lighting structure. So it was also harkens back to a lot of those, you can side by side some of the original footage and what we've done and what they did. And it's pretty amazing how accurate it is. So it was a really fun process. I always knew it would be a popular movie. I mean, that's not saying much, but usually everybody's always like, well, I don't know. You never know with these things. But I just knew it was going to be, loved by everybody universally, and it has. And, it may very well be the biggest, you know, biopic ever. I think it's on its way to being, and deservedly so. So I think they're doing another one, and I look forward to hopefully doing that as well. So yeah, that's sort of the backstory, if that helps. And uh, I learned a lot about the family. I learned a lot about the controversy. I learned a lot about the music. They did remix some of the songs, and Jafar, I mean, the acting is impeccable, and I never once was taken out of the movie by the kid or Jafar. I mean, they both were incredible. And again, knowing him personally, I didn't even think of it ever that this wasn't Michael in any part of the movie, which was insane. Because I never feel that way with movies like that. I'm always brought out. I was always taken out of it at some point, and this I wasn't. And God, it was just it was just so fun. So all the formats were great too. We did IMAX, we did Dolby Vision, we did regular P3. I mean, just all different formats. They all look amazing. They all were sort of emanating from the one P3 original projection, P3 projection version that most people saw. But they all the different formats serve it well, and it was just a pleasure to work on.
Well, it's an important movie about one of the biggest stars of all time. Arguably, I don't know if he's the biggest star or you got the Beatles movies coming down the road. I
Yeah.
hope the youngsters know about them still.
Well,
But
it's nice that a lot of, no matter who saw it, they sort of dancing in the theaters and felt very comfortable, just, like it was a concert and like it was, an event-driven sort of um, film, and it plays like that. So, I don't think the critics give it fair credit. It's fair. They talk about things that have nothing to do with this picture. If you know the background, which is very public, they were telling the whole story and they couldn't for certain reasons, and then ended it specifically before all that controversy. And it's like the critics just ignore that. And you're just like, hello, what are you talking about here, guys? It's just, why not just, enjoy for what it is. And and understand that they will tell us everything. And who can tell a story like that in 2 hours? I mean, it's like thank God they're doing another movie because I think it's important to get into everything. So anyway, I do think it's an interesting. It was just a great portrayal of this
I,
icon and the family. A lot of lessons learned and a lot of questions still to be answered. And but yeah, it was a great piece, and I'm so glad that I got to do something like that.
well, thank you for bringing your artistry to this film. We could one day do a walk through every project and how
Yeah,
you did everything over the course of a few months. But um, so let me ask you this. I know we have limited time. It kind of flew by already.
sure did. I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No, don't tell anybody, but it makes it easy for me because I'm here to listen. I'm here to hear the stories.
Yeah,
I'm here to hear the behind the scenes and the insights and some of the secrets. So it's not about me chiming in. Although I would say one thing, and I can take this out, but the critics that are kind of squabbling about this or that, they're just critics.
yeah.
And I'll take this up, but screw them. I mean, that's what they do. They
Well,
just,
I just mean be honest and about what you're writing about. It's like, hey, they did try to address this stuff, and for legal reasons, you couldn't do it. So they chose a cutoff, and now they're going to do another movie, and hopefully things will be figured out. So why critique something that's not there? It's not, that's not what it was about. So for some reasons, anyway,
yeah.
I just love movie making and the experience of going to the movies, and I don't want to be told what to expect and what to feel by somebody who's not me and who doesn't understand, or thinks that they can, push their agenda on somebody else. I just like going to the movies to escape and to immerse myself in whatever it is, whatever the subject matter can be anything. It's controversial, not controversial. The more it moves me either way, good or bad, happy or sad, angry or not. And I love that part of movie making and going to the movies. That's what I want to do. That's like to your point earlier, that when you first started, that's what I liked as a kid. I saw um um like Godfather movies, whatever the infamous movies were that are indelible and just like, icons. And I just saw movies like that, Apocalypse Now, movies like that are just like, whoa. And that's what excited me. Star Wars, like, holy shit, I saw that like 11 times, the first one. And knowing what I know now and seeing it now, it's still exciting and interesting. And those are the things that just made me go, oh my God, like I was so happy to get into different genres like Mission Impossible and Bourne and Star Trek and Star Wars. And it's like the only thing I haven't done, even though we've done it as a company, is a Bond film for some reason. I haven't been lucky enough to do one of those, but I love jumping into a different genre and trying to bring, something new to it. So uh, that's the wonderful thing about movies and TV shows and even short form too. It's like really inspiring and emotional. So I love it.
Well, you named some great, amazing films and Star Wars. I mean, I was born in 77, so I didn't see it when it came out first run, but watched it endlessly at home on Betamax, our first VCR. And I just want to mention to give them a shout out as we're hitting our fourth year with the podcast. Our first guest was Bruce Logan, ASC, who worked on Star Wars and helped blow up the Death Star. He was
Wow.
involved in the visual effects or special effects, and
Wow.
so it's been great. So let me ask you this. What's next for your company? Anything you want to name drop that's coming up maybe this summer? Not to give away anything you can't talk about.
No, no, I mean they're all in the trades. I mean, like I said, Tom just did Euphoria. Um, there's a new Dune coming out. The movie too. I think Matt's did the movie with Linus, the Dune 3, the movie. I'm doing Dune Prophecy, the TV show. White Lotus, I think Tom's doing the fourth season, did the third season. Aliens, the TV show, the second season. Uh, that's Tom and Matt. There's just so many. I'm doing Flockers in Law right now. I mean, these are just shows a couple of us are doing. I mean, Jill and Knock and I mean, they're just and Dave. I think Hunger Games is coming out, and just so much good stuff, so much good TV. I love TV too. I mean, I love watching TV. I just did Lanterns, the TV show, the new DC thing. There's a new Superman coming out. Siggy's going to do. I did the last one. Um, uh, again, we can go on and on and on. Michael Mann's hopefully about to start Heat. I did Formula One. Joe's starting Miami Vice. That's going to be awesome. Um, again, too many to name. Super proud of this company and the people because we produce all kinds of great work with our great clients. So, um, but the company itself is doing better this year. We've been working hard to try to get California rebate, post only rebate pushed through with Kappa, which has gone well, and so it's already passed two stages. Hopefully, another one next week, and then hopefully they'll get into law, which is a game changer. I don't know. I know what he's talking about. That it's insane that people aren't understanding that this could change the landscape as well as the production part of the rebate. But Untethered's the only city that I know of that doesn't have an untethered post credit. So if you shoot somewhere else, can't work here. Our Canada, Vancouver and Toronto are doing really well. New York's doing really well. New Jersey has a great new rebate. Atlanta's doing well. London's killing it. There's so much business in the UK, as you know. So New Jersey is something that we are really looking forward to and working with a bunch of partners there and the EDC to try to come up with a game plan to open something up there. We announced a partnership with our friends in the Middle East in Doha at the Doha Film Festival last year. I think A24 and Neon and Sony and a lot of different people announced partnerships with them. Obviously, the circumstances that are happening now in that region have delayed things, but we're still very bullish on the Middle East and North African region, the MENA region. So we're super excited about that. And then again, incorporating new processes, workflows, technological and production workflows with some of the new latest and greatest machine learning AI tool sets and things like that, creating our own sort of efficiencies with partners. We have great relationships with Runway and with Stability AI and other companies. So it's never been more confusing, but also as exciting, to be honest. It's
Yeah.
just a different level of excitement and confusion this time around, but we've seen it over and over and over since I've been in this business for 30 years. So it's really compelling and interesting, and I'm doing my part as the guy who runs the place to just run around the world and understand it better because we didn't have much of an understanding of a lot of the different parts of the world that are producing all sorts of things and creating all sorts of content. And I found it super important to, I was in the Middle East 10 times in the last year and a half. And, going to all sorts of different areas as well within Europe and Asia and South America. And just a lot of stuff out there. And you got to be in it every single day and have an extreme sense of excitement still to do that and to keep you going and to be understanding of what's out there and what's changing. And, this world changes quickly. So you got to be in front of it and embrace that. And that's what we're doing. And I think we're really good at that. So,
Incredible, incredible insights. The final question, it can be quick or take take
or
your.
long-winded like I always am.
Oh, it's
So,
great. We're getting a lot of bang for the buck today,
yeah.
and all the listeners are. What recommendations would you have for younger filmmakers, younger DPs, colorists, creatives out there that are sort of the next generation coming on up?
So, uh, number one, be tenacious. You can do anything you want, you set your mind to do. You just have to have the fortitude to push through and to do it. You have to confront issues and problems. You can't be non-confrontational. You have to because you're always going to get um, there are always going to be roadblocks and issues. So you got to push through those, and you have to believe in yourself. You have to be well equipped, meaning you need to know your craft. You need to know art. You need to know culture. You need to have experience in travel. I think something that was really helpful to me growing up in Europe. Um, and I think you got to bring your game on every day. And you have to be a team player. It's a team sport. I think ego and politics are destroy people and cultures and companies. And so you have to get in there and work with people and understand that it is a team sport. So we're it's not an easy place to work at Company Three because I think we're the best. And when you're the best, like I said, people come after you. They double team, they triple team you, they say things about you, they're always coming in for you. And so you to work here, you have to be prepared, you have to work hard, you have to be committed, you can't coast, you can't be mediocre. And so, but if you're none of those things, I think, and you have the desire, there's a lot of opportunity out there. There still is, for sure. Definitely have to embrace the newer technologies and software, machine learning, AI. You have to be knowledgeable about those things to progress in this world today. Um, but don't look at it as a replacement or an impediment. Look at it as an opportunity and a skill, and I think that will serve you well. So don't be afraid to ask. DM me on Instagram at Stefan Sonnenfeld. I always say this when I go out and speak to, talk to me. I'm happy to spend time with you. Nobody ever helped me. As a matter of fact, everybody tried to get me down, push me down and get me out. And I'm even more willing to help people. And so is our whole group, actually. So we have a pretty robust internship program. We have thousands of applicants for a small amount of positions. Um, but never get discouraged. You can do anything you want to do. And I'm a testament to that. And so I would encourage you to live the dream. And it's sort of cliche, but everybody says it. You get up there and win an award, and they're like, just put your mind to it. You can always do it. It sounds so cliche. Follow your dreams. It's the truth. People out there on the other side are just people, just as insecure and scared and nervous as you are. So try to be good at your craft and be prepared and go out there and get it. And just and use people like me who are willing to help. And I know a lot of other people in a lot of different areas who are willing to help. And that's what I'd like to impart to people who are either trying to break into the business or the younger generation that's trying to, move out of school or whatever they're doing into, more professional sort of career. It's not just artistry too I mean, we have a big company. We have, amazing lawyers and financial planners and HR people and, client service. And I mean, every single department in a structured company is important, right? Client service is amazingly important. So we're up for that. It doesn't just have to be, a colorist or a DP, if you're in the legal profession, you want a career in our business and you don't want to do 18 hours a day at a law firm and not get paid anything, well, maybe we're a good alternative for, it's like they're different different ways to go at it in all different disciplines. So that's an important thing to know as well. So anybody from anywhere can come to us and potentially have a career.
Fantastic. This is an incredible episode. Thank you for being so generous, not only with your time, your backstory, all the insights. I didn't know you met Michael Jackson way back in the day, and you just
Yeah.
this
The
film.
voice is the same too. Everything is like it's like uncanny. It's crazy. Anyway,
No, this has been a really special episode, and I've been lucky since starting this, having on some of the best in the business, many, including yourself. Um, and they're very generous with their time. A lot of good people, right? And a lot of mentorship. And so we just really appreciate you coming on today. And
yeah. I don't know if it's getting older or just in general the success. I want to help more and more people. It's again, it sounds cliche, but it's just the truth. And so we can do that through Company 3, the vehicle that we've created. So yeah, reach out. I'm all good. DM me anytime and I'll respond. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Anything else, just reach out and we'd be happy to help. Lots of good people here to talk to. So let me know if you need anybody else.
thanks, Stefan. We really appreciate it. And also thanks to our friends at AJA, Broadfield, OWC, and Zeiss for all their support. We'll see you all on the next episode.